This is Mrs. Naslund, and today we'll be doing Unit 7, Lesson 1, Find the Unknown Factor. Our learning targets today are, I can understand real-world division situations, and I can understand the meaning of remainders. The vocabulary words we'll be talking about today are dividend, divisor, quotient, and remainder. First, let's look at those vocabulary words. In multiplication, the two numbers that we multiply together are called our factors. The answer to a multiplication problem is our product. The same thing goes with division. With division, the number that we're dividing into is called the dividend, and the number that's actually being divided into the dividend is called the divisor. And our answer is the quotient. So let's look at this example. Different setup for the same type of division problem. And we have to decide, okay, which one is the dividend, which one is the divisor, and which one is the quotient. Well, again, the quotient is the answer, so that's the easy one. We know right off the bat that this one right here is the quotient. So the hard one is figuring out which one is the dividend and which one is the divisor. Well, the dividend is always the bigger number, the number that you're actually breaking up into smaller pieces. So our 300 is our dividend, and our divisor is our 5. It's the number we're dividing into our dividend. So again, dividend, divisor, and quotient. Those are the three terms that you want to try to learn over the course of this lesson. Next, we're going to talk about what the symbols are that we can use to show division. And there's a lot of different ways we can show division. So the first one we're going to look at is our typical division problem. You write your division problem, and we have the line with the two dots. This is the typical division sign that many people recognize as a division sign. Another way we can write out division is with this. We put the bigger number underneath the sign and the smaller number on the outside of our little line here. That's another way we can write division. Another way sometimes people shorthand division is they take and they write their number, and then they do a slash, and then they write the number they're dividing in, like that. So another way people represent division. Lastly, sometimes you'll even see division written like this. Which looks like a fraction, and what I want you to recognize is the dividend is the bottom number, the bigger number, and the divisor is on the top. And it looks just like a fraction. And yes, fractions are dividing. Okay, they're dividing. It's just a different way of writing dividing. So these are all the 4 different ways that you'll see division written out in our curriculum. All right. Next, some things that you should know about dividing. First off, when we think about multiplication, we know that order doesn't matter. I can do 2 times 3 and get 6, and the same thing will happen if I do 3 times 2, I get 6. But in division, order does matter. I want you to hear that. Order does matter. The bigger number, the dividend, has to go first, and the divisor, the smaller number, has to go second. I can't take a smaller number into a bigger number. That doesn't work. We have to always have the bigger number first and then the smaller number, okay, the dividend, and then divided by the divisor. That's a rule of division that we have to know. All right, next we're going to learn the steps of division. And we like to use this little saying to help us remember the steps of division. Daddy, mother, sister, brother, and Rover. Okay, so you'll notice daddy stands for divide, mother stands for multiply, sister stands for subtract, brother stands for bring down, and Rover, our dog, stands for repeat or remainder. So let's go ahead and practice this, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and do 17 divided by 2. I'm going to write my divisor out here. My dividend goes inside. And the first thing I do is I try to divide. All right, so I say 2 into 1. I can't even do that because remember I have to divide into a bigger number. So right away I can say I can go 2 into 17. How many times can I get 2 into 17? Well, I know that 2 times 7 is 14, and I know that 2 times 8 is 16, and I know that 2 times 9 is 18. So 2 times 9 is too big, so I'm going to go with 2 times 8. So I divided. Now I get to do the mother step. I get to multiply. 2 times 8 is 16. I'm going to write 16 down here. And then I get to go to sister. I get to subtract. All right, 7 minus 6 is 1 and 0, so I get 1. Now I get to bring down. Now in this case, I have nothing to bring down. I can't bring it down, so it's not going to work. So then I go on to the next one, repeat or remainder. So I can't repeat because there's nothing to bring down, and there is no remainder. So there is a remainder, which is 1. So I write remainder of 1. All right, let's try another one. Let's do 22 divided by 3. So again, I write my divisor on the outside, my dividend, my divisor is 3 in this case. All right, and my dividend is 22. So again, I look at my number right away. First thing I do is I try to divide. Well, 3 can't go into 2 because it is too small. So I get to look at this whole thing. How many 3's go into 22? Well, I know that 3 times 7 is 21, and that's really close. So I'm going to go with that. So I'm going to say that there's probably about 7. There are 7 3's that go into 22. So I divided. Next I multiply. 3 times 7 is 21. So I write it down here. Then I go to my sister step. I subtract. All right. 2 minus 1 is 1. 2 minus 2 is 0. So I'm stuck. Then I bring down. In this case, I can't bring anything down because there's nothing left. When we get to our 3-digit multiplication or 3-digit division in a second, you'll see that I'll be able to bring down. So then I go to the next step. I can either repeat or have a remainder. Well, in this case, again, I can't repeat because there's nothing to bring down. So this is my remainder is 1. So I can say remainder of 1. All right. So let's go ahead and try a more complicated one. Let's try a 3-digit one. So I'm going to do 203 divided by 5. All right. So again, first step is divide. Well, 5 is bigger than 2. Can't go into 2, so I'm going to look over the next number, 20. How many 5's go into 20? Or 5 times what equals 20? Well, I know that 5 times 4 is exactly 20. All right. So now I'm onto the mother step, multiply. 5 times 4 is 20. So now I get to sister subtract. 20 minus 20 equals 0. Ooh, and now I get to do brother. I get to bring down. I still have this 3 up here. So I got to bring this on down. Like draw my arrow so I know exactly where it's going. I'm going to write that 3. I brought it down. Okay. Now, I can't just say it's a remainder. I've got to repeat here. Okay, I got to say how many times does 5 go into 3? Well, it can't, right? Because it's smaller. So I say it goes in 0 times. All right. Then I'm back to mother. Multiply. 5 times 0 is 0. Now I'm to sister. Subtract. 3 minus 0 is 3. And now I can either bring down, which I can't. Okay, there's nothing left to bring down. And then I get repeat or remainder. Well, I can't repeat because I didn't bring anything down, so it becomes a remainder. So it's 40 remainder of 3. All right. Let's try one more. Erase these. All right. Let's do 156 divided by 5. So 156 divided by 5. All right. So 5 can't go into 1. It goes in 0 times. So I'm going to try 5 into 15. 5 goes into 15 3 times, I know that. And then I do mother, multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. Then I do sister, subtract. 15 minus 15 is 0. Then I go to brother, bring down. And look, I do have something to bring down this time. I'm going to bring down that 6. Now I'm at repeat or remainder. And since I just brought something down, it's not a remainder. Okay, if I bring something down, I have to repeat. So I'm going to go all the way back up to divide. How many times does 5 go into 6? 1 time. Then I get to multiply. 5 times 1 is 5. Then I get to sister, subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1. And then I could bring down, but there's nothing else to bring down, right? I've gotten them all down, so I don't have to bring down. So now I can't repeat it because I've already brought everything down, but I do have a remainder. So my answer is 31, remainder of 1. All right, and we'll get to practice this on your homework here in a few minutes. All right, so the last thing we're going to talk about is how there are patterns, to look at the patterns for the remainder. So I'm going to actually show you the answers for these ones up here so we can talk about the patterns. So we'll see we have 5 divided by 30, 5 divided by 31, 5 divided by 32, 5 by 33, 34, and 35. So I want you to start looking at the pattern here. When I did 5 into 30, it went in exactly 6 times. All right. When I did 5 into 31, it still went into 6 times because remember that 30 is there, but look at my remainder is 1. Right? Now I go 5 into 32. If I made that 30 again, I'd still get that 6, but since I added 2 more on, my remainder is 2. 5 into 33 works the same way. I'd say 5 into 30 is still 6, but I got 3 extra. That's my remainder. All right, see the pattern? 5 into 34, 5 into 30 is still 6, but now I'm on 4, so I'm 34. But look, now I go 5 into 35 and I get an equal 7 because how many did I have to go in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And so now I get to another whole number. So the pattern is going to continue, and knowing those patterns is going to help you a ton on your homework sheet today. Understanding that there's a pattern. Let's look at one more here. 5 into 43 gives us 8 remainder of 3. I'm going to just keep going here. All right. 5 goes into 40, 8, but it was 43, so I got that extra 3, so I've got a remainder of 3. All right. 5 into 44, if we know that's remainder of 3, then it's going to be 8 remainder of 4. But 5 into 45 goes in evenly 9. But look, now it starts over. 5 into, remember 45 was 9, but now it's 46. We have a remainder of 1. 5 into 47 is 9 remainder of 2. And 5 into 48 is 9 remainder of 3. So the pattern starts over. These patterns will help you a ton when you're working on your homework today. So I want you to keep that in mind. So again, a review here of today. We learned that the bigger number in division is the dividend, the smaller number is the divisor, and our answer is our quotient. We also learned the steps of division: daddy divide, mother multiply, sister subtract, brother bring down, and rover repeat. I would recommend writing this on the top of your homework page today when you get started so that you remember the steps of multiplication, of division. And then you go ahead and follow those steps. The cool thing with division is once you figure out the pattern, you can divide as big of numbers as you want. You can make them thousands big, and the same pattern will work over and over and over and over again. So again, you're going to have to memorize daddy, mother, sister, brother, rover. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat, and remainder. Once you have that down, you'll have a long division down, and we'll be working on it all chapter. Great work.